I am unmuting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PSR 18 Marathon intro stream, hype stream with Ryzakin, Tubular Fiber, me, TiKevin83. You can see by both my name highlighted when I'm talking and the wonderful board my girlfriend made with my handle. We also have Amoeba from yesterday's podcast returning.
Boo. That's hella rude.
And Kizaron.
Ultra boo.
So gracefully.
I got a full intro and you got Kizaron.
Do I really need an introduction?
Does he need one?
Do I
exactly.
really?
Why would he need an introduction?
So, hold on, right? Okay, this is just. Can we stop the bullying already?
Oh boy. Okay, so we have a great list of things that we're gonna hype today for you. I'm gonna go over the history, the last year of Pokemon Speedruns. First off, with an interview with Tubular Fiber and Ryzakin, who have been making massive strides in the Colosseum and Colosseum XD games over the last year. Then we're going to get into a recap of the different marathon appearances people have had. And we're going to go over every individual run and the background of that runner for the marathon. So let's start it off. Hello, Ryzakin. Hello, Tubular. How are you guys today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I am super excited. So tell me first about the first big improvement that happened with Colo, the glitch that was discovered related to X items. Can one of you guys explain what that glitch is and how it works?
Shed some light on that. So this was actually found shortly before the marathon run from last year. And Paper Guy, I believe, was the runner for that, and he was using it. You are able to use X items on your partner Pokemon in a double battle instead of just on whose turn it is. And so you can use that for boost and attack in the same turn, or go up 2 stages in a stat in just one turn. Throughout the run, it makes a lot of fights consistent and also faster in many cases. And during the 2017 marathon, still in its infancy as far as the routing went. There wasn't really like a concrete route yet. And now we've kind of perfected it over the months. Xarian had a hand in that. Fixed up a few fights for kind of safer strats and things like that. And, you know, there's a lot of collaboration kind of went into the route. And yeah, it's really good. It's made a lot of runs easier to finish, for one thing, and so a lot of runners are now kind of turning towards it. Yeah, it's just really cool.
Yeah, so there was the routing changes from that, and then also after you guys got manip from Aldelaro's new manip tool, right?
The most recent thing that happened to the game, just in the last month and a half or so.
Yeah. So that was definitely a big improvement, because not only did that affect Colo, it also affected XD, where you could manip, where you couldn't manip stats before, you'd do all those resets. Now you can manip the Espeon in Colosseum, and the is it still an Espeon, you guys? It's an Eevee really, but you make it an Espeon, right?
Correct.
So now you can manip the stats of the Eevee too.
It's technically you can manip both the Espeon and the Umbreon, but the Espeon's really what we care about.
Interesting. Does that have to be manipped in one go, or like the inputs will get you both of them? Or do you not even know because it's that irrelevant?
I mean, they're kind of generated in the same RNG sequence, so like one comes from the other, basically.
Yeah. So you'd have to get both a decent Espeon and a decent Umbreon. Interesting.
So the Umbreon's really not that important. It's just helpful to kind of confirm what Espeon we hit, because sometimes there can be duplicate frames. Okay. An interesting quirk about Colosseum is that one can never be female. And if there is a female RNG frame, the game will basically just re-roll until it's no longer female.
Huh.
Is you get like 2 of the same Espeon 2 frames apart, but different Umbreons. 2 chances to hit a frame. It's like we can
Weird.
be off and still get the same Espeon, just different Umbreon.
Okay.
Why
Now,
they chose to
when it
do
does
that?
something like that, is it just rolling to the next available frame?
Sure, too in depth on it. I just know based on what I see in the program, like I'll just see within 2 frames, like exactly 2 frames apart, it'll be the exact same IVs in nature for Espeon and just different Umbreons and different
Hmm.
trainer IDs. Valdolaro explained it to me, and that's just a byproduct of the like no females allowed for Espeon and Umbreon.
Okay, so it's like it rolls an Espeon, and then it rolls an Umbreon that's female, so it's still got the Espeon, but it re-rolls Umbreon. At least
Pasting
the
the IVs, but
Mhm.
re-rolling until because I think it's like 2 different things with the RNG. There's the IVs, and then there's the nature, ability, gender, all that stuff. And so the IVs can carry over. Like everything else will be different.
Very cool.
So what I'm getting from this conversation is if you're a fan of the Little Rascals and you're all about the boys rule, girls drool mentality, this is the way to go.
So, do either of you guys know off the top of your head how many minutes each of the categories has improved? Because when I was looking over games, it seemed like Kala was one of the biggest improvements over the last year.
The thing that came from X items for Colosseum definitely brought the time down quite a bit. And also just, I think a lot of that is indirectly related to be more easily finished. So like, so many fights were just awful without the X item glitch that a lot of runs just died early on. And the end game was always, you know, really sloppy and messy. Yeah, overall, the X item glitch definitely brings down the time. I'd say at least 2-3 minutes maybe.
Would you say that the X item glitch makes it easier to get a run going because you can take a worse Espeon, or are the requirements much higher now that you have this technique to use?
Ones we take now, thanks to RNG manip, are always going to be basically perfect special attack, because there's really no reason to take anything less when we're able to just.
Okay.
And related to that, because we have RNG manip for whatever stats we want, what comes with that is whatever hidden powers we want. Well, that's kind of where Tutela Fiber can jump in with XD. There's actually different routes now that have a certain hidden power type in mind for both Colosseum and XD. Do you want to talk about the hidden power fire route for XD a bit?
Yeah, hidden power fire. What's nice is I learned as I ran the game, like hidden power is determined by your IVs, and with a high base power fire hidden power, we're always going to get 30 special attack. That's always nice. And in general, hidden power fire, we use like 5 or 6 less X specials, a few less, or like 1 or 2 less X speeds. There's a lot less X items we have to use in general. A lot less shopping. Our money's better. Fights with like Scizor, Matang, like all those fights are just pretty easy now instead of ranges or 2 or 3 turns. Like just the run's a lot nicer with hidden power fire.
Then in Colosseum, we use electric type hidden power. It was kind of a hard decision to make at first, like thinking about what would be the best type to take, because there has to be like a definitive best one. Kind of a toss-up between fire, electric, and grass at first. Ultimately, though, I better just because of one fight in particular that I never liked. One of the rematches, like there's 4 admins throughout the game, and you fight them again in one of the later areas. and one of them leads a Starmie sometimes.
Wow, spoiler alert. Coming with the spoilers, Ryzikin.
He'll lead a Starmie sometimes, and it was just a huge pain to deal with. And having electric type hidden power just makes that one fight no matter what combo he leads. And then there's other stuff like Skarmory and Slow Kings and things like that in the game. Sorry, more spoilers, but electric type.
Why even watch the marathon at this point in time?
Yeah.
Just don't even watch it. There's nothing of value. Nobody has gotten any new PBs lately with these routes.
Good hype show, guys. Everyone go home.
Oh, but yeah, so all of this stuff you guys are talking about led to a huge improvement from Tootler the other day, right? Just the other day.
Yeah, I got a 4-minute PB, and I got a 4-minute PB and managed to lose 2 minutes to not PC healing correctly and going into a fight with basically no PP on any of my moves. That was
Wasn't that also the mythical new world record?
Yes, that was with the world record. I did that.
The 1 second record.
It's
2
gonna be
seconds.
timed. You got
3
you got
times.
2 seconds. Oh my goodness, that's even better.
The best of me.
That's it. It's done. XD is dead. There's no more.
Never
time
again.
spent.
Don't even need to watch it either. So there's that. We have 2 new openings in the marathon. I think we should include Ruby and Sapphire pinball.
Oh yeah, complete Pokedex, 8-hour speedrun. Let's go.
I mean, now that we're short 2 GameCube games, I think we have the space.
Yeah, that's about right.
I was kind of moving, but it is pretty much perfect. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
boy.
You mentioned that XD uses hidden power fire, and Ryzikin, you mentioned that there were 3 viable hidden powers to look into for Colosseum. Was there that kind of discussion needed for XD? Like, was there anything besides hidden power fire that was considered, or anything that could be not as viable but somewhat as viable?
Electric. Or, yeah, you can go on.
I was just gonna say, like, the thing with XD is like hidden power doesn't have a huge time difference up front, no matter what type you take. So it was more of a challenge in that respect to come up with something that was clearly the best. Liked fire personally is because it saved a lot of X specials in certain fights and just made the routing a lot nicer.
Gotcha. You wouldn't want to take time to use X items that you don't need to. And then
The late game was also a little bit nicer too. Just being able to kill Scizor without, having to be a certain level to guarantee that Psychic kills. That really made a big difference ultimately in the route.
yeah. So does the X item glitch work in XD?
No, it doesn't.
I didn't think so, because I thought that the ball dupe glitch didn't work in XD, and that's actually where it kind of originated, right? People were doing ball dupe glitches when you're trying to snag things and you're running out of Pokeballs, and then you might end up noticing from that, well, what happens if I use an X item in the same sort of glitchy manner?
I think it was Thurler that found the X item glitch last year at some point, shortly before the marathon.
Yeah.
XD, they kind of just patched that along with ball duping, so you can't really do any cool menu exploits in XD that we've found yet, at least.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's all awesome stuff. I want to thank you guys for coming on to talk specifically so much about those games and the discoveries, especially with Tootler getting that world record so close to his marathon run. So stay hyped for that.
Yeah, that was beautifully timed.
Be commentating his run and judging every little thing he does.
Nice.
And I'll probably jump in and meme like I always do.
I expect only XD spam in chat for 4.5 hours.
No. I already have cancer too. Don't make it worse.
Jesus.
And in your chat keys.
It used to be, but then too many new people came in and they would do it and they'd get banned and not know what was going on. I had to lift the ban. Anyway, that was Rydeskin and Toot talking about the 2 super duper neat GameCube games. Do we have a command in chat for the schedule by chance?
I don't know if we do, but we certainly have people who can issue it if needed. That would be an etiquette question, right? The bot. See if the bot's got the Harara. Yeah. Oh, wow,
There
we do.
it is.
Boom.
Man, look at that.
It's alive.
Look at that hot etiquette tech with the bot.
I'd like to point out some bias because that bot was not alive yesterday.
That was a problem.
You guys can check out Toot doing XD as the closer of Friday night. Or if you're in European time, then, you know, butt o'clock then. Sorry, Toot.
It's fine.
Oh, that's actually kind of sad. I want to watch the XD run.
And then Ryskin's going to be the second to last run of the marathon. He'll be pretty close to closing. So definitely check those out. They're definitely varying times, but it's the weekend. You don't need sleep.
I took off work tomorrow so I could start watching the marathon. That's how.
Wow, what a
hyped
nerd! Are you a nerd? What a nerd!
That's how hyped I am for this marathon. Okay, so moving on from as much as I want to talk about Call and XT all night, we got to move on at some point. So we got to recap what happened since PSR Marathon 2017, in terms of marathons at least. So we had at AGDQ 2018, Trev Person doing Pokemon Black and White 2. He's actually prominent as a Majora's Mask speedrunner. He has second in the glitchless time in Majora's Mask and first in 100%. So he is a huge face in the speedrunning community. He has a 4th place time in Black White 2, and he managed to come in underestimate at a marathon in a Pokemon game. So that was unique.
It was also a pretty helpful and solid thing that he did too, because this was coming off the tailcoat of the Heart Gold glitched run, the prior GDQ back in SGDQ 2017, and I did have some legitimate concerns that because of how that run went and how we saw how the backups failed because of how far behind schedule we got, that they'd be a little hesitant to bring on a game of Pokemon that needed that RNG manipulation for things to work. And even though it did take a couple of tries for him to get that Drillbur, it did show that, hey, Pokemon isn't as risky as that one super risky run is, and we're able to show off something and still have great control and still have a really good run overall.
It's also nice to see like big faces in other communities drop into Pokemon as well, because like that was a really surprising thing to see when Trev first did his Gen 5 run, because that's like a bit from out of left field, considering Majora's Mask running is very execution based.
It's also super funny if you look at that couch that we had too. It was all PSR, and then leading the way was
Majora's Mask runner.
Yeah.
No, it's good though. It's nice that people want to try and, you know, try this out. That, you know, the Pokemon isn't like the dark horse of the speedrunning community or anything.
And a little bit of behind the scenes with his run too was, if I remember correctly, he actually had to come up with a brand new set of manips, because for whatever reason, the manips that he practiced for, the ones that he practiced with when he was doing marathon practice on his streams prior to the event, weren't working. So there was a good span of about 48 hours before his run that you would see him and Tyrant sitting down and trying to figure out what to do.
Well, because figuring out the White 2 manip is some work as well. Like, Gen 5's not the hardest manip going, but it's the hardest one to get going. So
yeah, and unlike the Heart Gold glitched run, we were able to have backup carts available too, just in case, that wouldn't mess with the run as a whole. So even though there was a little bit of unfortunate scrambling beforehand, at least we still had everything under control, and Trev Person was able to give a really good showing of a really good run.
Oh no, Etiquette's bot is spamming the chat. Oh boy, so that's fun. And yeah, so wrapping up, so Trev Person was at AGDQ 2018. Then the next big GDQ run we got this at SGDQ 2018. He did Pokemon Blue and Yellow 2G1C. He used what do you call them? A Wavebird controller with 2 receivers hooked into 2 different GameCubes, so that he had one controller playing both games at the same time. And so Migatsus is kind of like an old guard of the Pokemon Red community. He doesn't really play that often anymore, but he came out of the woodwork to design and do this Blue-Yellow 2G1C run. He has the world record on emulator, but Swaff holds the actual world record, or he held the world record until emulators were officially allowed recently. If you want to call this an official category.
Yeah, and I have to go on record and say, as anti-emulator as I come off across a lot, if you want to pick up 2 games, 1 controller, save yourself the headache and just do it on emulator, man. There's so much more benefit to doing this on emulator, because you can see both emulators on the same screen. You don't have to keep track of 2 different actual television sets. You don't have to have 2 different capture setups and all this stuff.
$80 Wavebird controllers.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
the
controller with 2
receivers.
receivers.
Oh yeah, so you'd actually need to buy 2 because you need the second receiver.
It's,
as well.
it's like
Capture
if somebody's
setups.
yeah, and like with the Wavebird thing, it's almost like if somebody steals your left shoe, they're not gonna have any use for your left shoe, but you have to buy a whole new damn pair of shoes. So you have to buy 2 whole setups just so you can use one thing twice.
Yeah. So that's a whole mess. But he actually has the console set up, and he did it live at the event. I was on the couch for that run, and it was really fun to commentate.
Hey, same.
Oh yeah, Kizaron was too.
I was there until the last like 20-25 minutes because I had to dip out and get everything set up for his interview afterwards.
Yeah. So that was super fun to commentate, because he basically was so focused he had to be zeroed in on the game the whole time, and we could just say whatever we wanted in the background.
I love watching, like, he's been streaming that for a while, but I think like this is probably the 5th or 6th GDQ he tried to submit this category to. I'm glad they finally accepted it.
Yeah.
Like,
he actually
and the funny thing about that being accepted was he made an edit to the submission beforehand, so it didn't show up publicly. So a lot of times you'll see Spike Vegeta is a good example. Spike does this this prediction show of what's going to make it into the marathon, and every single prediction show that I saw was, oh yeah, Crystal by Keys, it's going to get in, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what the hell is this? Was this even submitted? What is this? And you just find out that he made one small change to his submission.
Yeah. So nobody knew he had submitted it. It was like this surprise that it was even a thing. Like I searched Pokemon a few different ways in the accepted list and couldn't find any Pokemon game accepted. Come to find out, it was 2G1C. So that one was interesting because it started off on a bit of a rocky edge, but the middle of the run was actually a treat to watch. It, like, really, if you watch from 30 minutes into the run to 2.5 hours and ignore the beginning and end, it is one of the most beautiful speedruns I've ever seen executed.
It's also, as a whole, the run's a really good example of what to expect with marathon stuff in general. Peter's very well versed in using the double console setup, so it wasn't anything new to him, but this was very much his first time doing a run. And you can kind of tell that, I mean, it kind of just shows that all the runners that are there are human. I think quite a few of the slip-ups that happened that were within his control were a combination of, one, he might not have been used to that particular setup, because even though it's still the double console setup, it wasn't necessarily what he plays with at home. And that's something to keep in mind with these runs too, is you're very rarely ever going to have the same exact setup when you do these marathon runs in person like that. But then also, you can just tell there were some nerves here and there too. There were some minor things that went wrong, like there's that extra trainer that he hit, and that was, that could have been any combination of things. That could have been the Wavebird signal crapping out on him. It could have been nerves. It could have just been the setup. But like it was a good example of how like runners are human, and you're not ever going to really see a perfect run, but you'll still see a really good and entertaining run. And as Travis just said, the middle of that run was really spectacular. It was a really good showing of what that category is capable of.
It probably took him about the half an hour just to get his nerves settled into it. I mean, the ending was basically not his fault. The ending was just standard yellow. God bless.
And getting cut off by time. Like, it wasn't even any of his relevance. But, so that was GDQ for the last year. We also had ESA. I apologize. I did not do as much research or have as much knowledge about what happened at ESA. But we do know that Retro Tato was at ESA Winter. He did Colosseum, Diamond Pearl NE%, and Crystal Glitchless, all at ESA Winter. So, if you like Pokemon speedruns and you're in Europe, apparently Retro Tato is your man, because he is just being a boss of showing off Pokemon at the European Speedrunner Assembly.
Such a spread of games as well. Like,
yeah. That's
completely different execution levels needed for every single run that was there.
I wonder what controller he uses for Crystal, because if he uses GBA or GBA SP, that's 3 different controllers.
Well, because you got Cube for Colo, you got the DS for, oh goodness.
I can't imagine learning 3 different control schemes and being that good at all of them for a marathon setting.
He's just said in chat he wasn't even supposed to do Colosseum. He just
what a boss! What a boss!
Excuse me, mate. Could you just drop in and do another 4-hour Pokemon speedrun?
Can we drop some Fs to pay respect, like in a positive way here? Like that's crazy. What a baller!
Oh, Crafted was at UKSM. Okay, thank you for the note there, Skoa, because I wouldn't have even known about that. But also...
Oh, yes. Crafted did Pearl NE% and Black White 1, I think.
Okay. That's cool.
Yes.
So there's also UKSM.
I also see within this totally not actual script that we're looking at.
There's no script. This is unscripted.
This is totally this is totally off the top of our heads, and we didn't plan this at all. But on the off chance that we did plan it, I'm seeing that there wasn't any mention of a certain runner at RPG Limit Break.
RPG Limit Break? Who watches that?
Wow! How rude. I did Crystal at RPG Limit Break, and it was underestimate, I promise.
Whoa! Okay. But we're missing another bit, because there was another ESA related thing Retro Tato did. That was ESA Summer. He did Platinum NE%, and he did a second run again. This time he did XD. Gale of Darkness.
You stick to one game, man? Jesus.
So he had 5 different games across 2 ESA events.
In the span of what, like 6 months?
Yeah.
Animal.
Like he's the kind of he's like an inventor. Like he doesn't create a business. He creates a product, sells it to a business, and it just goes to create a new product. He just can't settle down.
That chair is sick. Okay. One more thing I wanted to mention in terms of recapping the last year of Pokemon speedrunning was the Platinum NE% improvements. Because as much as all the other categories have been little incremental improvements, Platinum NE% had a 4-minute out-of-nowhere smash that Worcester put in recently. Basically, if you want to boil it down, you get 2 Tentacruels. As anybody who knows the TiKevin stream knows, 2 Tentacruels would be just about the most hyped thing you could possibly put in a Pokemon speedrun.
I'm going to stop you for a second real quick. Apparently we forgot that Dante also did Snap 100% at ESA. So there's a lot of Pokemon representation at ESA.
There was a lot of marathon representation in the last year.
Do you know what else we did forget? There was something NecoCon.
No.
What?
I did Pokemon Blue NSC, and I showed off what Pokemon Crystal randomized looks like at an anime convention in Spokane, Washington called Kuro NekoCon.
Hypocrite.
I don't have any video proof, so this is all a lie.
What is this? Red as this Etienne also did Red any percent glitchless at ESA Winter. So many runs.
Why is ESA is a boss for Pokemon representation?
Yeah, if we could just swap the committees that organize ESA for one time, we can go back.
As an Englishman, no,
Wait,
stay away from our committee.
Don't do that, because then I'll lose my interview position.
Oh, okay. What else is going on here? Oh, I did want to mention, off the cuff here, Pseudo Trainer was at Midwest Speedfest recently and set a record for view count at any Midwest Speedfest event with Yellow Glitchless, and he came in under estimate despite having crowd picked nicknames for his Pokemon, which threw off all 3 of the manips.
Jesus Christ.
That kind of reminds me of last marathon when I did Sapphire and I changed my nickname and I asked chat, hey, should I do Kyogre YOLO Ball? And I couldn't get it for what, like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. And then as soon as Project Revo TPP comes in and explains, wait, no, you can't do the YOLO Ball manip because your name is different. And DeBomb was like, oh, adjust the time by this much. I got it first try.
That's epic. Okay.
Which it's just a nice thing to point out in general, because it just shows just how tight these frame perfect trick windows are that our runners are doing to manipulate the game.
For sure.
It's amazing that DeBomb can just go, yeah, it's this much longer.
Yeah,
And that's
he
actually,
figured it out really quickly. He was just like, oh yeah, you want to do it this long.
That's actually a great segue into the last real point about improvements over the last year. One of the major improvements to Pokemon Speedrunning was the quality of our emulation. So with the creation of the Game Boy interface's task playback capability on the Game Boy player, we can now test tasks of the original Game Boy Color Pokemon games. What that means is that we've been able to test and improve the emulation accuracy of Pokemon Red, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, so that today you can download a build of Gambate Speedrun that is cycle accurate, so that all of the RNG works perfectly for Red, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. They play identically to how they would play on a Game Boy player.
It's really important to point out that that's a phenomenal thing for a speedrunning community to have. I might be talking out of my ass here, but I want to say we are the only prominent speedrunning community that has an emulator so accurate like that, that without any potential repercussion, guilt, any negative anything towards it, we can allow emulator to properly compete in Gen 1 and Gen 2.
And it was all like in-house as well. Like it was all created. It's based off of existing tech, but all created by the PSR community for the PSR community. It's a real good sign of how the community is just operating. Like, an amazing, because the difference between like Gen 1 and 2 emulation and then Gen 3, like it's embarrassing in a way.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big part of my run that we're going to talk about later for Sunday with the NSC tasks. So, to cap it off, last year in Pokemon, we had a lot of marathons, a lot of big improvements with emulation, and some sick new tech in Colo, XD, and in Platinum. Now, next we're going to go over each individual run that's going to be in the marathon, which is starting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I believe that's 2 p.m. GMT, if you like your international time zones.
International. Is American not international now?
No, because everything outside of America is communism.
GMT 0. We are. Well, actually, we're not.
You damn commie. Yeah, the world doesn't revolve around you, GMT0.
It
It revolves
doesn't
around
even-
us.
BST is +1 now anyway because we're special and we need our time different half the year anyway. So
West Coast, best coast.
I see.
Alright.
I already know that's wrong.
So we've got up first tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. EST, Etiquette, with he has the world record in the main Omega Ruby any percent category. He has the
No.
world record.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
No, IMAX has the record by 24 seconds. He just
Okay.
doesn't submit to the leaderboard.
Who's that?
Okay, but he's not on the leaderboard. Okay, the leaderboard world record. Very difficult to do research without leaderboard times, but I will stipulate leaderboard world record for Omega
You were on
Ruby.
You were on the podcast yesterday. We said this yesterday.
Oh, no, I'm so bad.
Pay attention.
I'm so bad.
Okay, you know what you could do to make up for this, though?
Mhm.
Since we're talking about my boy Etiquette.
Mhm.
You're on camera right now. Just dab once for him.
Dab for Etiquette.
Dab for Etiquette.
Okay,
Can we get some dabs in chat for Etiquette
it's
as
done.
well?
We have also okay. So Etiquette has leaderboard world record in Omega Ruby.
saw it. It's so beautiful.
He has the actual world record in yellow catch 'em all. He has, or he's also a top catch 'em all runner in general. He's placed times in numerous other Pokemon Speed games and also some other franchises with New Super Mario Bros. 2 Warpless, which he did at SGDQ 2018. And he will be running ORAS Round 2 to show off some of his best speed game at the marathon. Starting it off.
Yeah, round 2 is some nice extra content on top
It's-
of Loras.
It's nice to see that there's a decent amount of Pokemon games that, I mean, while there's obviously post-game content in all of them, you know, the size and the quality of it, you know, depending on whichever game it is, it's nice to see that we have these categories that we can actually create that don't feel extremely arbitrary to create. So we have like Oris Round 2, Platinum Round 2, which we'll get into later, Fire Red Round 2, which we'll get into later. Like there's a good mix of different generations and different games that give you just enough post-game content to where you could really justify having these lengthier but arguably more strategic runs.
It's nice to see more round 2 runs popping up as well because it was only Fire Red for a long time,
Mhm.
and then you know, people start considering these other categories. I mean, Platinum Round 2 wasn't even a thing really a year ago, and I want to say Tyrant did the first run, or at least routed it. Could be wrong.
Very
I think
cool.
so. I think so. I think you're right.
Then, okay, we've got after Etiquette, we have Skoa Gogo, who
My
I believe
boy.
was on yesterday's podcast with me and Amoeba, and who was the fourth? I am dying. Oh no! Oh no!
Crafted.
Crafted. Yes.
The other
Thank you.
British man. Come
Oh
on,
no! My
Oh,
mind
no.
was blanking.
How do you forget the robot?
man.
So, Skoa Gogo was on yesterday's podcast. He is also in the marathon himself. He has the world record in both English and Japanese Pokemon Black, setting a new world record on 7/17. And he is a top speedrunner of Pearl any percent and some other lesser known DS games like Cars 2. He'll be running his bread and butter Black any percent at the marathon.
Skoa has done mad work in Black White 1.
Yeah, I want to give Skoa a huge shout out. He kind of just essentially came out of nowhere. I remember my first recollection of ever seeing him, I think, was in Worcester's personal Discord, and he was talking about doing runs on emulator for Black, and just seeing how much he's improved since then and how solid of a runner he is. He's definitely, in terms of runners that are either new or relatively new, he's definitely, I'd say, like one of the top new runners that's come out.
Yeah, he's only been, I think he said he started running a little over a year ago and then started seriously running in the last few months. And I mean, Crafted got a 3:16 quite recently, and that was considered an amazing time when he got it. And Skoa was talking about the 3:15 for a couple of weeks, and then it was done. He just did it. We were like, I know he said it to me like, "Oh, I'm going to get this 3:15," and I was a bit skeptical. And it was so quick as well, like how quickly he got that run.
And then there's still time to save too, apparently.
Oh, they've talked 3:14 I mean, I thought it was nuts to the 315. I think he's genuinely mental if he tries to go for that, but he wants to.
Or he's like Gen 5 Exarian, maybe. Who knows?
Well, Crafted was Gen 5 Exarion. Until Skoa ruined the pattern, Crafted had the whole lot.
Wow. No.
Every
See,
record.
because Crafted was the Gen 5 Worster. And then
Oh,
and then Skoa pulled the Exarian and just came out of nowhere and was like, yoink, that's mine.
So this is the meta. So who's going to come along and then be like the Gen 6 Skoa?
Well, here's the thing. PulseFX, who's up after Skoagago, doesn't have any current world records, but he does have several top times across Gen 3 to Gen 7. So you never know when Pulse is going to finally decide he wants to actually get the world record in a game and settle down on one.
I think he actually had a Fire Red record for a brief period of time. Yeah,
I'm
and then
sure he did.
was like, nah.
He and Tyrant were going back and forth, and then of course Exarian also with a Fire Red Leaf Green speedrunning over the last year, because they had that big rivalry last year in the marathon leading up to it, trading back and forth PBs and then racing the Charmander and Squirtle routes in the marathon. But he will be doing XY, showing off some of his versatility across the Gen 3 to Gen 7 games. And he is currently 5th of 19 in that any percent category. So, like, definitely showing off his extreme versatility across the later gens of Pokemon.
He'd be 5th of 20 if somebody in this call actually submitted their run keys.
The chat's pointing out as well, Pulse did pick up the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon English old 3DS record this month.
Okay.
He does have himself a Gen 7 record.
Nice. Yeah. That's a fair one to call, because there's no reason to make the new 3DS, old 3DS distinction less relevant. If you have a top time in one of those, you have a top time.
Holy crap, Daily Leaf still exists.
Oh, what?
Stop the show.
Whoa, okay. That is a name I haven't seen in a while.
Can we get a hi Daily in chat, please?
Literally stopped talking to type that. Okay.
It was so hype.
Pulse effects. We have Rubber Ducky Assassin. He speedruns Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Pokemon Rumble, along with a multitude of other games. He appears to have heavily optimized Rumble, only moving the any percent passwords time by 15 seconds across 2.5 years of speedruns. And he will be showing that heavily optimized game at this year's marathon. So that is hype to see a run so optimized. 2.5 years only moves it by 15 seconds.
RDA is a massive speedrunner in general. His I think he's got record in the Brawl category at the moment. That's a very optimized one, and he's like the main runner for Rumble. He's had PBs like in 2 or 3 of the last months, so like you're never going to see anybody better than play.
Like if you ever go to GDQs, whether as a runner or just as somebody who wants to hang out with some speed friends, RDA's pretty much there almost every time. He's been there pretty much every time I've ever been there. He's a treat to hang out with. He's a pleasure of a person. He's really freaking good at Brawl.
That's awesome. Then, what time are we at when we get to Tutelar Fiber here? I'm actually going to have to look at that again here a second.
Is it like 11:30 p.m. EST?
It looks like it, yes. 11:30 Tutelar Fiber will be doing XD Gale of Darkness, and that is a 4 hour and 50-minute long estimate, so that's going to be a bit of a trek for him, but his versatility extends beyond the Pokemon series. Tutelar has top times in most major Undertale categories, and, interestingly enough, the world record in Robopon, Moon, and Sunstar, which is especially relevant considering one of the guests we have on the live stream.
World's smallest violin, please.
I would like to go on a mini tangent about that. So he picked up Robopon because I gave him $5. I was like, I don't want to be the only person running this because I tried to get Medician to run it, and Medician, you know, in Medician speak was like, no, fuck that game. And then
language keys.
Hey, I was doing my medic impression. You know he wouldn't care if he were in here.
Good Christian channel, please.
Sorry. I was quoting him word for word. And Win Sunrise 1 was supposed to do it too, and then he played it once, and he was just like, no, I'm gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh instead. I gave, which was probably a better choice to be honest, to play Yu-Gi-Oh over that. But I gave Toot $5, and then eventually we had a Picolax alt look into the game a little bit because I was like, there needs to be RNG manipulation for this game, right? And we were able to find some really easy to figure out stuff. So Toot routed out a ton of different RNG manipulations after I kind of gave up on it. And you can manipulate the whole game. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it has one semi-accurate emulator, but going back to the emulator discussion we had earlier, I believe DeBomb informed me that Gambate Speedrun will finally be able to play that game. Which,
whoa.
Like, I'm not saying that as a, hey, everyone play it. I'm saying that more as a, this in-house emulator that we have is that freaking good that a game that needed a broken, inaccurate GBA emulator to play will now be able to be played on this ultra accurate emulator.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect of ultra accurate emulation is the tighter you make it, it actually can break certain games that rely on very unique behaviors of the console. So by tightening our emulator to the point we have for Pokemon, we've broken some other games, and we have to actually expand how tight it is to some other games to make it even more accurate.
And remember, folks, this stream is sponsored by the Keys Are On $5 world record service. For just $5, you too can have your own world record.
I hear Animorphs need some runners.
Was it Tootler who has that Minesweeper run? Because that was an interesting thing I saw researching these runners, is somebody had a time that was like really good in Minesweeper, and I looked at Minesweeper runs, and you actually have to reset for RNG for the board.
God, then it's just a game of memorizing which buttons to press then.
Yeah, I can't
experts like 800
imagine
buttons.
doing that myself.
Yeah, I know that if you just set your clock, you can just manipulate the same board and just set your bombs and clear the board as fast as possible. But I've never done that. I did the...
Wait, you can manipulate Minesweeper?
Yeah, there's Minesweeper RNG manipulation, so the's manip and no manip Minesweeper categories.
Why does it not surprise me that it's the Pokemon runner that's manipulating Minesweeper?
Well, he's not manipulating Minesweeper.
This is truly the timeline that got abandoned.
I've actually never done Minesweeper manip. I used to do no manip like 4 years ago, but before I even knew what speedrunning was.
You're ruining the script, man.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
There's no script. What are you talking about?
No script.
Anyway, I believe we're on the next page of the script.
That brings us down to Retro-Tato. He's posted good times across Gen 2 to Gen 4 Pokemon games, including Tootler's XD. Tending to prefer any percent glitched categories, though. He'll be representing Platinum any percent, where he PB'd 5 times in the last 4 months, with his most recent time being a second place showing just 1 month ago. So that is a runner to watch out for.
So how many other categories are we going to get him to do as well, seeing as he's done 3 at every other marathon? He's basically
if you ever need somebody to fill in for your marathon, give my boy Retro-Tato a call. He probably knows how to play the game you need him to.
Yeah, as Arai is pointing out as well, Retro-Tato's run was actually the record, because it was in the streak of time where the route got updated by Worcester and Poi. So the record, I think, traded hands about 3 times in 3 days, because it went Retro-Tato on the old route, Poi on the newer route, and then Worcester on the newest route.
Retro saying that he was paid to do it. So clearly what we've learned from this hype show is if you want a record, just get paid.
Earn dollar, get records.
Wow. Let's see. What time of the night are we going to be at for David Poco? 7:40 a.m. We get some major time through the night with Tootler and Retro, but at 7:40 a.m. on Saturday, August 11, David Poco is coming in for Pokemon Blue any percent NSC. He is a fresh face in the NSC community, posting times in both Blue and Yellow NSC in the last 3 months. He started off wanting to do glitchless, but didn't put so much effort into that and quickly got hooked on the NSC categories.
Fool.
I like that we've got, because I'll be honest, I have no idea who David Poco is, but I like that the marathons, we've got these people in the fresh faces in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, NSC is kind of cool. Yeah, it is only 20 minutes, but it is kind of cool.
And that's going to be interesting to watch because it'll be a really cool contrast seeing how Blue NSC works versus Yellow NSC when I do mine, and also then the contrast between a human runner doing an NSC category versus the task doing an NSC category on Sunday.
I'm glad we decided not to make him feel bad and race the task.
No, we are not doing that. even
Welcome
though
to the PSR community. Strap in.
Even though it's pretty close timing between the world record for Blue NSC, RTA, and Yellow TAS, no. Yeah. So that's David Poco at 7:40 a.m. Then we have Riddleth coming up quick after at 8 a.m. doing Pokemon Conquest any percent no passwords. So this is a great one because Pokemon Conquest is a game based on feudal Japanese history. And like we know happened with Sony when they created a game based in feudal Japanese history that ended up having giant enemy crabs, Pokemon apparently also are in feudal Japanese history. And so Conquest is actually ported from the Japanese RPG Nobunaga's Ambition. And the only contested run is the no passwords run that Riddleth will be showing. The passwords thing, that refers to the fact that in the year following the release of the game, Nintendo released a bunch of passwords that would spawn rare and otherwise unobtainable Pokemon, but using them, the any percent route can get much stronger Pokemon early on, and there's some RNG involved when you go try to get those stronger Pokemon from the passwords. So, the no passwords category is a better fit for marathons, less reset points, and that's what he's going to be showing in the marathon. Because no passwords, you'd think cheating with passwords would make it more consistent, but there's RNG with finding the super rare legendary Pokemon, so you actually want to do no passwords to be consistent with Conquest in the marathon.
Cheating? Cheating with passwords?
Cheating. That's what I'm gonna. I am not a fan of the use of passwords in speedruns, but hey, he's doing the no password run, so there's no controversy. I don't even need to throw off my opinion. Literally cheating.
Literally cheating. Like Riddleth is he's like the equivalent to Conquest as RDA is to Rumble. This man has worked Conquest down, and there's no one else really running it quite as much as he does. Hello,
yeah.
RDA.
Like I said, only
it's
contested category is the main one, and there's only one other runner. So he is that, like me with Yellow, just focused in on one game and smashing it.
Speaking of focused in on one game,
comes into a good one next with Shiru666.
All you have to say about the guy is Desert Candy. Moving on.
Desert Candy.
4 seconds. He lost 10 seconds to cutscene manip and missed world record by 4. I'm so mad. Carry on.
So he has been working Pokemon Emerald slowly and slowly and slowly over the last year. Like Amoeba and Keyzeron were mentioning, only 4 seconds behind Exarian now, and due to the amazing thing with Emerald that is cutscene RNG, he actually lost time that costs.
It's not even any cut. It's one cutscene. He lost 10 seconds to a single cutscene. I cannot, like, the man is the unluckiest man walking in this community. God bless him. He has put so much work into this category, and the game just keeps ripping him apart.
Like, I'm not laughing because I'm laughing at him. I'm just laughing because it's such an unbelievable thing to mention that we have all this control over so many aspects in Pokemon speedrunning.
In so many games.
And a top Emerald runner was deprived of the top time of the category because of a cutscene.
Because of RNG related to the length of a cutscene.
For anybody that's not quite following this one, there is a cutscene towards the end of Emerald where there's a rain effect playing through it in the kind of overworld, and the rain sits on a cycle, so it exists for a certain amount of time and then repeats itself. And depending on where the in-game cutscene finishes, it then has to wait for that cycle of rain to finish. And Shiro got possibly the worst length. His cutscene ended just as the cycle began, so he had to sit there for 10 seconds while the rain ended. And it's not like this is something that we just kind of accept. I think Exarion spent a week trying to RNG manipulate the end of this cutscene, and it can't be done. Like, Emerald sucks.
Yup. So he also has ran Red. If you'd like to know anything unique about Shiro, he has not only played Emerald. He has played Red. He has a 156. So he hasn't played only one game of Pokemon. But
he's played two.
He's played two. But he will be representing Emerald in the marathon. Will he be doing Chain Manip? I bet he's doing Chain Manip in the marathon.
He better. That is his baby.
So that's going to be awesome. Up next, after Shiro, we will have Wartab, Racing, Pulse Effects, Sun versus Moon, any percent. So Ultra Sun versus Ultra Moon, any percent. Wartab is a software developer. He made the IV CalCalpers for Gen 6 and 7. And Ultra Sun uses Primarina just like Sun and Moon. So, Ultra Moon's going to use Hawlucha. So you're going to see not only Ultra Sun versus Ultra Moon, the different routes are going to mean you have Primarina versus Hawlucha. And their brutal runs, due to opponents being over-leveled, and Gen 7 having trainers with maxed out EVs in every major fight. And you have, on top of all of that difficulty, random wormholes which will spawn and make you lose 5 minutes for no reason due to RNG.
So not only do we have Shiro that we just talked about, lose time to cutscene RNG, but we have a game that's going to be raced that has cutscenes you can't skip that are awful in length, and then a mini game that you have to do that I believe it's like, it was anywhere between like 3 to 5% or something like that to get the wormhole that you need to advance the freaking plot. and the way that mini game works is you pick up speed by picking up certain objects. If you hit other objects, then you lose speed, but you slowly lose momentum throughout without touching anything. So once you're out of momentum completely, whatever the next available wormhole is, you just automatically get vacuumed into. So you'll see several times people doing these runs where they've gone on for like a minute, haven't found where they need to go, run out of momentum, and just get sucked into the wrong wormhole and have to do the whole damn thing again.
I'm seeing in chat as well motion controls.
Yes, you are forced to do motion controls for this.
Is this game literally cancer? Like,
well,
what
yes.
the hell?
As a man going through it, I say yes.
No.
That's not. No, I feel bad. I was not trying to create a segue.
I know you're not, but I'm telling you that's how bad it is. That I am agreeing with what you said.
Could someone just mute me, please? I've dug a big enough hole as it is.
Like, so you have that to go through, right? And it's just awful, awful, awful. And on top of that, as mentioned, motion controls, which you can turn off after that first time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it after that first time in the run.
So he's going to be doing that race. He also, Wartab has world record in Sun and Moon, any percent new 3DS. Third in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, any percent new 3DS. And fifth in Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, any percent. He's going to be racing with Pulse Effects with the cross-game race. Pulse is also in the marathon doing XY. He's the only duplicate. We're going to call that okay because it's part of a race. He's doing his second run, so.
And something to bring up too, besides the route differences being obvious with one doing Primarina and the other doing Halucha, the choice of game is really important to point out too, because there are 2 new characters, technically 4, but there are 2 new characters introduced in each game. They're called the Recon Squad, and they're from like a futuristic time or whatever, thus explaining the wormholes, yada yada, Pokemon plot, who cares? But the natures of their Pokemon are different in each game. So being on Ultra Sun benefits the Primarina route, because in Ultra Moon, the Pokemon have a plus special defense nature, whereas in Ultra Sun, they have a plus physical defense nature. So the choice of game is not only just for the sake of showing off 2 similar copies, but it also actually affects the route.
Very cool.
Coincidentally, the alternate natures on enemy Pokemon is going to segue quite nicely into the next run.
G. Hines is going to be doing, after that, the Pokemon Sapphire speedrun, but not the English run, the Japanese run of Sapphire. And the Japanese cartridge has different natures on a lot of the enemies that make the run a little bit faster, in addition to the text being faster from the Japanese language version. He is really, really heavily invested in Sapphire, Hines. He also does Harvest Moon runs and Animal Crossing runs, if you want some more info on G. Hines. There's also a potential for more useful glitches in the Sapphire any percent time in the Japanese game. I believe he's going to be doing any percent glitchless Sapphire in Japanese because of that difference. So
yeah, Epic Dude Guy has done basically the only any percent Sapphire run so far, and it utilizes the rare candy duplication glitch.
Very cool.
Something to point out too about the Japanese version of Sapphire, couple of things actually. One, and Amoeba, I believe you know the answer to this, but isn't the nature based on the character's name, like the trainer's name? Like, don't they pull that data from the trainer?
I'm embarrassing myself further. I don't know. I think it has something to do with secret ID, which may be based on the name. But I'll be honest, I'm not sure. Lucky Typhlosion says it is.
We have some confirmation in the chat.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Lucky. But yeah, that kind of explains why there's different natures. And the different natures is just like in the whole Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon comparison. That's what makes the Japanese version of Sapphire a lot safer to run up to a point. So there's several run killers within the English run of Sapphire that aren't run killers in the Japanese version. Like, for example, the most notable one is there's a trainer called Cool Trainer Brooke. And in the English version, she has a Rosalia that, not even accounting the chance that your mud shot could miss, which is a 5% chance, it's a 77% range to kill the Rosalia. If you miss either mud shot or the range, you are just flat out dead. She has a minus defense nature in the Japanese version. She is not a problem. She's 100% guaranteed to die. But in exchange for some of the easier mid game, the Elite Four in the Japanese version is significantly harder. So he has to really focus on specific routing for shops and making sure that his X item count's a lot better off in the Japanese version than you would need it to be in the English version. The English version has a couple of spares you can throw here and there. And in fact, that's a strategy to stall for a really cool trick that I'm pretty sure that you still do in the Japanese version that I won't spoil, and he'll explain while it's happening in the run. But yeah, he really has to focus on making sure that he's prepping himself for end game, whereas the English version, you really have to just hope you get to end game and then you're fine.
Very
I wasn't aware of that.
So that's happening at
Sorry, man.
Oh, it's all good. That's happening at 8:20 p.m. on Saturday, August 11. And then after Heinz's 8:20 run, that'll be going until 10:50 p.m. Saturday night. We have JP Zinum representing one of our round 2 categories, Pokemon Fire Red Elite Four round 2. So JP, he was introduced to Pokemon Speedrunning via Fire Red round 2 race in October 2013 and has been improving his time primarily actually over the last 2 months, and also has placed times in red glitchless and gold, silver, any percent lately. So that's pretty cool. He's been active, and he's going to be returning to his original run that he did 5 years ago in this marathon.
And JP, since you're in chat, I have to ask, which route do you plan on using for Fire Red Round 2? Because I know that there's been a few routes that have been looked into. Like, I know there was Squirtle into Zapdos, Squirtle into Mewtwo.
Squirtle,
I know for a while people were
Squirtle.
looking into. Yeah, I know for a while people were looking into Charmander.
Yeah,
Squirtle into Mewtwo.
Okay.
Snorm's has second place with the Charmander route at the moment. Snorm's is a god for Charmander.
Yep. So there's all sorts of cool routes you can do there. We're going to see Squirtle into Mewtwo in E4 Round 2. And then a very, very unique game and runner will be bringing us through the middle of the night for the Eastern Time Zone. We're going to see Pokepark 2 Wonders Beyond any percent by Deathline at 3:05 a.m. on Sunday. Oh yeah, just a quick mention. The E4 Round 2 race, or was the E4 Round 2 race what you were talking about 5 years ago? Last year's run by Snorms in the marathon was really cool. I'm just gonna say now, I wish to see Fire Red Leaf Free and E4 Round 2 in every PSR marathon.
It's the best category.
It should just be a tradition because it is the best category of Pokemon.
It's the most classic. You actually have to catch Pokemon.
You have to catch Pokemon. You have to beat the Elite Four twice. What else do you ask for in a Pokemon speedrun? So after that, you have the 3:05 Pokepark 2 Wonders Beyond run from Deathline. Now, here's the thing about Deathline. He ran Pokepark 1 last year, and it was a treat because he is so dedicated to the Pokepark games. He has dissected them and heavily optimized Pokepark just before last year's PSR Marathon. And then this year, because he was selected to do Pokepark 2, he's been heavily optimizing his time in Pokepark 2. So he doesn't actually have the world record in Pokepark 2. Somebody else does, and he's been getting closer and closer to a world record time in that game leading up to the marathon.
Yeah, I'd say this was probably the most unexpected good run from last year. I was really surprised at the quality of this run because the side games for Pokemon are really up and down, both casually and speed game.
I do think it's funny that somebody named Deathline is playing a game called Wonders Beyond.
Pokepark Wonders Beyond by Deathline. Yeah. And another interesting point I found in researching was that he kind of overlaps with Rubber Ducky Assassin's list of games they played on speedrun.com. They've both done Super Mario Sunshine. So they're both side game runners who have done Super Mario Sunshine.
I don't know either of them would run Sunshine.
And up next, after Deathline's run, we're going to see Crazy Dan at 6 a.m. on Sunday.
Crazy!
And he's going to be doing the most dead category in Pokemon speedrunning.
Absolutely no bias at all.
The most...
It's so dead, don't watch. Doing pinball here as well.
Hey,
Insert... I talked about this yesterday on
shot.
the podcast, but there are specific problems with the rule set for Pokemon Blue Catch 'em All.
No,
but
don't do this now.
We
This
are
is
going...
the pineapple on pizza. Stick it in the pineapple bin.
We're going to stick that in the pineapple bin. Here's what's going to happen. We are going to be sticking to the rule set that was set, I want to say a year or two ago for Pokemon Blue. And Crazy Dan is going to be using that rule set to show you a proper Pokemon Blue Catch 'em All run. And that's going to happen on Sunday at 6 a.m. What else is cool about that? The fact that there was a task done of Pokemon Blue in the last year. That Pokemon Blue task has been also known as the Cerulean City theme, the TAS. So if you like listening to Cerulean City music, go watch that TAS.
I would just like to point out while I have a chance, as someone who deals with the rules all the time, making rules for glitches in Gen 1 is hard, man.
Yes.
Define a glitch. I will give
the game.
significant.
The whole game is a glitch. Like
I will give significant money to anybody that can define a glitch. Anyway, like right here, right now, I will give like at least 4 figures if you can give a good definition to what the hell a glitch is supposed to be.
Just grab a Pokemon red, blue, or yellow cartridge, and there's your
do
physical...
anything.
Yeah, there's your physical example of a glitch.
This game was an abomination. It's an affront to God.
It's
So-
just so bad.
This is the predicament, but we have an old rule set that we're gonna bring back for you guys and show you what the Pokemon Blue run looked like with that rule set, and that's Crazy Dan's run, 6 a.m. on Sunday. Then, Crafted, I believe at 8 a.m., just before 8 a.m., 7:55 a.m. on Sunday, is going to be doing Pokemon White 2 Challenge Mode. So
It's a god.
we don't have a E4. It's not a round 2 necessarily, but we have challenge mode. Crafted's been speedrunning many GBA and DS and original Game Boy Pokemon games for 3.5 years. A year and a half ago, he sat second place in Pearl any percent glitchless. Let's see. He has world record in Black White 2 for both its major categories, any percent and challenge mode. And he has second place in Platinum Glitchless and the original Black White. So he's all over the place.
Crafted is the most slept on Pokemon speedrunner.
I'm
He's
pretty
so
sure.
underrated.
I'm pretty sure that other than Gen 1 glitchless categories, I'm pretty sure that every category he's ever touched, he's had a record in at one point in time.
Don't think he's ever really had anything in Gen 3. He walked into Emerald and got a top 3 spot in one run and then left,
Okay.
which is the best way to run any game ever. Just one and done.
But like,
And he's done that with lots of games.
just in general, anything he touches, like you see quality gameplay, you see somebody who knows his stuff, and you just
see
know
someone
that
he practices.
he's a robot.
You can see the practice he does because he comes in and he's immediately. It appears like he's immediately good at the game, and it's not. He puts in the work before he really starts doing runs. The guy
He's
is
a freaking
amazing.
robot.
He is.
He's a command in my chat, for God's sake. You say crafting, and you just see a robot. Like,
Can we get a Mr. Destructoid in the chat, please?
So one of the other cool things I noted in my research was he had a fresh Black White 2 world record when Trev Person demoed the any percent Black White 2 category at AGDQ 2018. So that's a pretty hype thing to have the world record in a game that is something that GDQ is willing to select and show off. That just shows the talent that Crafted has beyond anything else. And he's going to get his chance to show off challenge mode for Black White 2 at PSR 2018.
Yeah, it's a really rare speedrun to see as well, just because of the requirements to be able to play the game in challenge mode in the first place, and then doing all of the manips, figuring them all out. So I think
impromptu interview, also ignoring Amita. Sorry.
that's what I'm here for. It's fine.
So the next person up on the schedule is the one, the only man with the face on the stream right now, the calculator himself, TiKevin83. So tell me, when did you start running Pokemon Yellow?
That would be 2 years ago in May. I was thinking about starting a stream, and actually the first thing I streamed was League of Legends. I have like a similar highlight video of me doing a Nami wave in Earth, if anybody knows what that is. That
Those
just
are
ran
some
out of
words.
here.
I don't know what those words mean.
I know what those words mean. And somebody said old school. I also play old school RuneScape, and at the time that I'm not streaming, because who wants to watch people play RuneScape? I never would understand that. People do it, and I refuse to stream it because I don't want to promote that being a thing.
Well, I understand that when you started getting into yellow, you started looking to a bunch of different ways to try and optimize the glitchless route. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. I happened to get in on yellow immediately before the run was rerouted because of the RTA switch. So when there was the RTA switch, we went from not being able to do save and quit manipulation because we couldn't hard reset the console to being able to track our time through those hard resets, and therefore we were able to start researching manips. When that happened, I put in a bunch of work figuring out best places to do leers, best places to use rare candies, and all that to make a really optimized yellow route that uses a manipped perfect Nidoran. And we also put in a lot of the original searching to even prove to people, hey, you should be paying attention to yellow, because nobody believed that you could do manips on it at first. It was just like, oh, it's not going to be possible. Nobody is going to be able to work around the flaws with IGTO. And eventually the emulator got good, like we were talking about earlier, to the point that it's cycle accurate, and we figured out, oh, yeah, you can do manips that are almost as good as reds. So it's something worth looking into. And now we have those routes, and Gunner has used them, Exarian's used them, and they have the 154 finally that people have been searching for RTA.
I kind of want to go back a little bit and bring up, you mentioned something called IGT0. So to anybody that doesn't know, with Gen 1 games, and I believe Gen 2 has a different issue that's kind of similar, RTC, but with Gen 1 games, they're 60 frame per second games. And even though we have manipulations mapped out, when you save the game, you can save on, X amount of 60 frames, and some frames just don't produce the result. So when you're exploring different manipulations and trying to discover what works best and what doesn't, that's something that we always have to look into. Like, we always have to test it out frame by frame, usually by botting, of course, but we have to test it out frame by frame to see, hey, is this actually consistent? Because the difficulty of routing it out just on console without any of these available tools to us, like using emulator, testing it out on console with everything else, you could stumble into something that's maybe 2 frames of a chance. So you get a 2 out of 60 chance. Most manipulations that I'm aware of are usually like 50 plus out of 60. So they're pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the fun things when I was starting out, was we had Delaroth actually do like a 24-hour stream just searching for Nidorans, and he found one. It was amazing. So those are some fun memories.
Before we go into some more Pokemon stuff involving you, I just need to point out that you once had a record.
I did. I also play backyard baseball, and that game, you usually do a 6-inning pickup game for the main category, and you get a random team. And I stole Meerkat Games as a world record for 2 hours. And he saw me doing runs, get the world record. Then he went on himself and did runs and got it back instantly, and it was hilarious.
That's kind of funny to me that you had a record and then lost it just mere hours later. And the game that you spearhead the most had the same exact thing happen not too long ago.
Yes.
The infamous day where I got yellow record, and then 4 hours later, Poke Guy's like, "Who's the god now, Keith?"
Yes, that seems to trail me wherever I go.
But so 3 or 4 years ago, when exactly the same thing happened with Gunner and Worcester.
So you mentioned TASes a lot. So when did you start TASing, and like what really got you into it?
Okay, in January, I was doing resets of yellow, and I pressed the left button on accident, the same frame that I pressed the A button to open the options menu. Now, I didn't know this would do anything at the time. I had no idea what was going on. I simply pressed, I thought I simply pressed A to open the options. And what it did was, by pressing left in the same frame, I changed all of my options. And I actually accidentally discovered a new exploit in yellow that nobody had found before. And it's being used now in the Gen 2 categories to aid in the manipulation search paths, trying to find different manipulations and variations of timing to get through the intro. when I did that, I was like, that's really cool. But you can't use it in glitchless. You do the option set before the timer starts. So nobody had ever done that in a TAS. So I thought it'd be cool to start doing TASes with that new exploit. And that led me to make the first really optimized English glitchless TAS. It's about an hour and 36 long Pokemon Yellow English glitchless TAS. And it's really cool. It's a fun treat to watch.
There's also something that you were able to display at this last GDQ because of how cycle accurate the emulator is, that you can play it off of the cube using GBI. So you were able to play it in the casual room without touching anything, and people could just walk by and be like, oh, hey, Yellow's playing itself. Holy crap, what's this fast-paced Yellow that's going on?
Yo. So that was a treat to be able to actually show that live. And what we're going to be doing in the marathon is I've written a prototype for a Pokemon Yellow no save corruption TAS along those same lines that can play back and be verified on a console. And I will be verifying it live on stream for the Pokemon Speedruns Marathon 2018.
It's also kind of neat to point out, too, that this is essentially like a beta viewing of it for when it makes an appearance at the upcoming Games Done Quick Express, which is going to be at TwitchCon, and that's on October 28th, I believe.
Indeed, and I will be flying out to help with Dwango do commentary for that and another run called Hyper Princess Pitch, which I currently know nothing about, and will be researching thoroughly in the next 2 months because I have no idea what it is.
It was a game that I honestly thought was typoed, and I thought it was some like weird ROM hack called Hyper Princess Peach for some reason. I had no idea what it was. Like, I thought they made a massive error, and then I found out that no, it's exactly what it sounds like, and I have no idea what it is.
Who else is going to TwitchCon?
Oh, I believe there's some scrub.
Someone.
Yeah, some loser who's doing Pokemon bastard. Crystal and having a bid war for 3 different routes. Like, I don't know why they would allow that. Yeah, there's
doing that.
Yeah, so
You're
GDQ Express, just to go into GDQ Express real quick. It's like a really condensed version of the week-long GDQ marathons that's going to be featured at TwitchCon. Well, as mentioned, on the 28th, TiKevin's going to be showing off his TAS and helping out with some of the other TASes. I'm going to be doing Pokemon Crystal there, and we're going to have a bid war between the Feraligatr route, the Entei route, and the Raikou route. So it's going to be chaos trying to figure out what to do. But it should be a good time.
Completely different manips for Entei and Raikou as well, I presume. Like,
yes.
Are they even remotely similar, or do you
so the bid war would close essentially by the time I start the game. But since it's going to be late Saturday night, that means that they got all of Friday and most of Saturday to determine what the route is. So the most difficult part really is just memorizing every single different manipulation for whatever scenario is going to come my way.
Have fun.
So I'll have fun, but I'm not going to have as much fun as the next runner on the list, good old Ryzigan.
I think we've heard that name before.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
I think he's even still here.
Could you believe that he was interviewed earlier? Jeez.
It's almost like this was planned.
What? No. What?
Scripted.
Script. What? Who said anything about a script? Anyway, according to the script, he's a Colosseum runner.
Wow. Yeah, he's using his newly discovered RNG manip tool from Aldelaro, and he's currently second on leaderboards, threatening X's world record in Pokemon Colosseum. He's a long-standing member of the Pokemon Speedruns community, specializing in alternative starter runs with Cyndaquil in gold and Torchic in emerald.
Just one of my favorite things.
What's interesting to note about his Cyndaquil run with gold is that actually ended up overall contributing to the Feraligatr route, because for the longest time with the Feraligatr route, we do a different gym leader order in Kanto, and our pathing would take us through Cycling Road, and we would fight an optional trainer that we didn't realize was optional at the time that had a knockdown. But because of Ryzekin's route, we saw that you could skip that entirely by surfing from Seafoam Islands, where you fight Blaine, and just surfing your way through, I believe it's Route 21 and 20. And then you just make your way to Fuchsia from below. And not only do you skip the trainer, but it's faster movement.
It's amazing.
Spinner,
you
I
get a
think,
lot.
on Cycling Road or something.
No, there's a spinner in the remakes in Heart Gold Soul Silver. But the only trainer that was in our way for Gold, Silver, and Crystal was that one guy that's at the bottom.
Yeah.
And he had that knockdown. And the knockdown was a one-turn fight, but still, you skip a fight and you get faster movement.
It's interesting how often the like alternative starter routes end up being useful to the main categories anyway. Because Snorms was destroyed Fire Red.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm a
Charmander
huge fan of using alternative starter runs as a way to think of new and inventive ways of playing a game and carry over optimizations to the main category.
Clefable and Yellow when.
Be pretty interested to go back to running Cyndaquil now that they've got like starter manip in Gen 2.
Yeah, because didn't Cyndaquil need much tighter stats than Totodile?
Really fast in Violet City, you did. The speed didn't really matter too much for most of the game. I think it was like the attack and defense had to be above a certain threshold. As much worse attack than Totodile, so.
Yeah.
Lucky bringing back the PSR forum memes that are theoretical.
Freedom percent.
Can we not put percent after words? Makes me want to die.
Are you sure about that percent?
Cyndaquil percent, Torchic percent. I want to end this meme percent.
Okay.
If it means anything to you, I agree.
We have capping off the PSR marathon on Sunday at 4:05 p.m. Some nerd. Will his name be mentioned? I think it will be. Worcester. He took one of the first serious approaches to speedrunning Pokemon 5 years ago and has been rewarded with a lasting community, I would think to say myself, and he's also a serious speedrunner in the Sonic speedrunning community. He set a new any percent record for Platinum in June, and will be showing off the glitchless E4 Round 2 category.
Which he just got a sub 5 at. Yeah. Sub 5 and
is that another world record?
That was last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, last night. What is this timing? We have Tootler Fiber getting a world record. We have Worcester getting a world record.
It's almost like it's scripted.
It's almost like
script. What is this script stuff? Stop talking about that.
We've got to the end of the script though.
Hey, the script doesn't mention
the end of the script. It doesn't exist.
I would like to point out, while we're talking about scripts, that is it a coincidence that the longest run and the marathon ender is going to be done by the man that did the schedule?
Wow. So not only are there scripts, but there's conspiracy abound.
Collusion.
Yes.
Actually, wait. I'm seeing something in the script about oh my gosh, what is this? So apparently we're gonna have a bonus run after Worcester, and it's Amoeba doing Ruby Sapphire pinball. Oh boy.
I'm going to commend the dedication to the joke because there's only 2 people who can actually see that being written into the script right now.
Nobody in the entire stream can tell what's going on.
The stream's got no idea what's happening right now, but we are dying. Okay, let's just get rid of that. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
But yes,
oh, never mind. I guess
I
was just imagining things. I guess we are closing with Worcester.
Capping off, Worcester will do Platinum E4 Round 2. And then on Monday, because we are doing these extra streams now to try to help grow the PSR TV channel and get more viewers for the main marathon, we're just going to be doing a surprise run on Monday on PSR TV.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. You got to be there on Monday to come figure it out. But watch the marathon first.
It's Amoeba with pinball.
It's the surprise. I was Worcester all along.
Can we just
do twist?
Can we just do pinball on Tuesday?
No, because TiKevin's already got plans for an outro stream. I'm not just gonna overwrite. I'll do a catch-em-all run on Wednesday. That's like an 8-hour stream. That'll get us affiliate.
There you go.
Yeah, press 1 in chat if you want to see.
If you
Yes,
press
this-
one, I'm
Sapphire
gonna ban
pinball.
all of you.
This is definitely not an attempt to get
Slash
affiliate
time
for...
out. SL Weed mentioned pinball.
I
Oh,
love
look
how
at
the
all the
first
ones.
response is a 2.
Okay,
No.
so yes, we have the marathon Friday to Sunday. Monday, we're going to see Worcester do his surprise stream. Tuesday, I will be doing the same kind of show, but as an outro, recapping the marathon, doing some interviews. Wednesday, what will we do? We don't even know yet. That's too far out to think.
We could do a community race.
We could do a community
pinball.
race. That's on the
No.
table. So,
All right. We could do like we could do an Animorphs into Robopon relay race.
We could do the bonus marathon. It's just the Robopon marathon.
The loser of the race has to stay in the community. The winner is free.
are we going to see the rematch? Kizaron versus who was it? Oh, my brain, it's racked. It's so racked. It was Tootler versus Kizaron in Robopon.
We should have a
No.
money match.
A money match.
Get the $5 back. You both have to put $2.50 in. The winner walks away with $5.
Oh my- I gave him $5 more for the other Robopon games.
Can you imagine
yeah.
if people walk into the PSR channel on Wednesday and we're playing Robopon between two people? We've got no clue what's going on. These are advanced PSR memes.
We have to do the race with Hogbot too.
Oh man, Hogchamp, so good. I miss Hogbot. Pumpkin too good.
All right. So that's it, guys. That's the whole marathon. That's everything that's happening with PSR TV. If you want more content about people talking into a blank screen, yesterday, Amoeba did a stream on PSR TV, his podcast for the month. So go back and watch that if you want to watch people talk for another 2 hours, if that's up your alley. If you don't want to watch people talk, you want to watch people play games and talk, marathon, all 3 days this weekend. And then Worcester, and then the outro stream. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you to Ryzakin, Tootler Fiber, Amoeba, and Kizaron for your lovely appearances on today's intro stream.
We talked about how much my appearance costs, right?
$5. Everything is $5 now.
Yeah. So if I don't see $5 in my PayPal, I'm deleting the Discord.
Thank you very much for watching.
Is
Have
he
a good
joking?
night.
We'll
Go
never know.
buy pizza that doesn't have pineapple on it.